And this is Wicked Ninja. I'm here for some new tricks, dude. So today's lesson is about how to put your hip into shit, you know. And what I'm talking about is, you know, like when you're closing a door. When you close a door, your hip swings into it, you know. So like when you're punching, your hip goes into it. So like when you're using a weapon, your hip goes into it. So this is the thing about using your weapon on what you know, what the performance is, you know, and the performance is putting your hip behind it, you know. So when you're going to practice on how to put your hip behind it, if you don't really understand on how to put your hip behind it, walk up to a door, and so when you put your hip into it, you know, you want to, you know, move your hip. So when you're closing that door, you're figuring out how to move your hip, you know. So I'm going to do a couple little freestyle moves, and you can see how my hip maneuvers when I'm doing these moves. But the thing is remember your hip, you know, whether you're using size, nunchucks, shogs, you know, whatever, bow staffs, bow can, you know, whatever, dude. You want to put your hip into it, you know. So, you know, the more you get your hip into it, the more power you got into your weapon, you know. So you're thinking of a punch, you put your hip into it. And another thing that I see in the movies is they give out reach because they want you to see that actual move. But in actual combat with a ninja, there is no reach. You're up close and personal with your opponent. You're up so close and personal, you're practically almost chin to chin with the dude. And when he throws a punch, you're right on top of it. And not only are you hitting with your fist, you're hitting with your elbow too. And you're putting that hip into it. And then you're coming back and putting that hip into it. You see what I'm saying? So that's how it is, man. So we're going to do a couple little demonstrations here. Go ahead and pull the blade out. Do a little bit of freestyle here. A little bit swinging around, and you can see how ninja people put the blade into it. So we're going to start up like this. We're going to be up like this, man. And we're going to come out. So we're going to be straight up like this. You know how all ninjas blade straight up in front of you, right? And they stand there in the movies, do whatever fuck the movies. You come up like this, and we're going to start out. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about putting your hip into it. If you ain't got your hip into it, you ain't cutting shit. You're gonna fuck up, you're gonna cut yourself, or you're gonna hit something and you ain't gonna do shit but whack the dude and piss him off. Now there's other things you can do. You can block the garnet from the backside of the blade to get proficient cut. So you can hit from this angle. You see what I'm saying? So you're coming up and you're coming down like this. And you got this force right here, and not at the end of the garnet, but right here and right here. And you can also start from the tip of the blade. You can come up and then cut and slide down to the end, to the garnet. You see what I'm saying? So do another couple moves, you know, and always keep that garnet above your hip. Don't ever bring it below, because if you bring it below your hip, you're not using your hip in your cut. So therefore, if you want to do a low cut, you squat down and get that low cut. And if you can see, I'm squatting down and I'm using my hand to get that extra leverage into that cut. So you got to understand about that. You know, so you're swinging around, you're coming up, and you're using that hand to get that extra cut. You see what I'm saying? That's what makes a proficient cut. You know, you can swing around, and then you can come up and use the garnet in the back of the blade to hit with the butt of the knife. You see what I'm saying? So there's multiple techniques you can use with this blade. You know, for instance, we're going to do a tornado. I'm going to stand back. We're going to be like this and step into it. And I'm putting my hip right into it. And my feet are twisting into the cut. You see what I'm saying? And these are the techniques that you can use with the same techniques you can use it with your fists. So I put the blade up, and like I said, you can take these techniques and do the same techniques with your hands.
It's like what you saw with the tornado. I swung the blade around and did my stepping and my cutting with the tornado. So now we're going to do the same techniques with my hands. So I'm coming around like this, you see, and I have multiple targets that I'm hitting, and I'm hitting them all, and I'm moving through them, and I'm positioning myself away from all these different people, getting myself through the surrounding stations of the people trying to attack me. So this is the point of view. This is what you're trying to do, and you always want your hip into it. So that's the point of it. So whenever you're combating someone, always make sure you put your hip into it. Same thing with a kick. When you're doing a kick, you put your hip into it. You see what I'm saying? When you're doing a punch, you put your hip into it. And not only when you're punching, you're up close. Not only does your fist hit, but your elbow hits. Back with your elbow, back with your fist, back the same way. And you're doing this in an upgraded speed. So you're like this. You're coming in. And you're breathing out and breathing in at the same time. Creates control, power. Your hand doesn't close until it hits the target. And when it closes like a sledgehammer. You make a hammer bam. So, that's what it is with Wicked Ninjas today. Use your hip. Learn how to shut a door, and that'll teach you how to use your hip. Once you learn how to shut a door, you know, slam a door, but don't disrupt your neighbors or your family or whatever. Just close the door. That's all you got to do, and you'll see how your hip works. Then go to your punching bag and hit it, and learn how to put your hip into it. That's how it's done. Wicked Ninjas out, man. Like and do whatever.